Two diseases, one biological mystery. Understanding how Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease overlaps changes more than just your diagnosis. It actually reshapes the way we treat neurodegeneration itself. Families often think of these two diseases as completely separate worlds. When you think about it at the molecular level, these two diseases overlap. Recognizing these patterns dramatically increases the window for treatment, planning, and patient quality of life. Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease are often viewed as separate conditions. We kind of know this. We kind of go, oh, this person's brain is disappearing. That's Alzheimer's. Then we say, oh, this person's muscular movements are changing. This must be Parkinson's. What do these two vary? One is memory and one is motor. So we have the muscle side, we have the brain side, but how are these two brought together? So when you think about it, it all comes down to proteins. So ironically, both diseases have a commonality because proteins are misfolded. Now, that may be a little strange concept to you, but when you think about the molecular structure of a protein and see the body uses these proteins as the very messenger that actually makes things happen or not happen. So a muscle moves or a muscle doesn't move. An astrocyte, a brain cell works or doesn't work. It's about proteins. When these proteins are perfectly shaped, they work well. But something begins to distort these shaped proteins so that we call it misfolded. So on the Alzheimer's side, a misfold is in something called the tau protein, these isoforms, they actually misfold. Therefore, the signal that's given to the brain cell is distorted or deleted. And then by the same token, over on the Parkinson side, there's a protein there, and it's called the alpha synuclein cell. And that protein, this alpha cell, it misfolds and then it begins to send the wrong information to the muscle cells. But all of this is surrounded by early inflammation, mitochondrial stress, gradual loss of neural networks long before symptoms appear. You've all noticed this. Here's this dear person who's just the smartest person in the world, and they stay smart, stay smart, stay smart. And then suddenly you begin to say, things are drifting here a little bit. This may be a 10 to 20-year process. By the same token, the disease of Parkinson's is known as the one that just keeps getting kicked down the street. So some dear person comes into their primary physician and they complain about maybe when their hands are sitting in their lap, they have a little tremor, or maybe if it's another form, maybe there's there's a little shuffle, or maybe something is even a mood change, which everybody goes, oh, well, get more sleep, eat more vegetables, relax, go swimming, do something. And this goes on for years and years and years before somebody actually has the diagnosis. Both of these diseases are interlocking. They're not the same diseases, but they come close together. Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease are usually taught as separate neurological worlds. One affects memory, the other affects movement. But neuroscience reveals a deeper story, one that blends biology, chemistry, and decades of clinical observation. For Alzheimer's, the classic hallmarks are these amyloid plaques and tau tangles, plaques and tangles. In Parkinson's, we look for Lewy bodies made by another protein, alpha-synuclein, but autopsy studies show significant overlap. Nearly half of older adults diagnosed with one disorder also have features of the other from a anatomical basis. We might ask, why does this happen? These misfolded proteins are the pathway that brings them together. Inflammation brings them together. With that inflammation, energy production falls. Neurons begin losing their connections, often years before symptoms rise to the surface. The overlap also explains why some people with Parkinson's later experience even cognitive problems, or why patients with Alzheimer's may develop rigidity, tremor, or slowed movement. It's not totally two separate diseases, even though they have separate names, but there is an overlap in their, we would call it their pathology of the biology. And one vulnerable system is responding to different stress. The encouraging part is that treatment that reduces inflammation, improves cellular energy, or prevents protein misfolding can benefit both conditions. Researchers today are working on medications that target these shared pathways, and those may represent the next generation of neurodegenerative therapy. If we keep seeing these diseases as separate, we miss the most important clue. But if we recognize the overlap, we open the door to earlier diagnosis, more holistic treatment, and deeper hope for patients and their families.